Welcome to Auto Mundial, the weekly car news and review show where this week we're looking at the new Polestar 2. Is it a match for the likes of BMW and Tesla?
We also have a roundup of our favourite electric city cars, and the Mercedes GLE Coupe targets the Audi Q8 and BMW X6.
Plus, we have the bold new Hyundai Tucson. It's had a fancy new makeover, but can it compete with class favourites from Toyota and Skoda? That's all coming up, but first, the news.
Nismo has revealed yet another version of its flagship GTR supercar. Simply called the GTR Nismo Special Edition, it's essentially a limited run version of the ultimate GTR to date, the Nismo. Going on sale in Japan in October, the Special Edition gets some stealth grey paintwork, an exposed carbon fibre bonnet and an exclusive set of 20-inch raised forged alloy wheels. Otherwise, this is the same as the incredibly fast regular Nismo version, meaning its twin turbocharged 3.8-litre V6 puts out 592 bhp with power going to all four wheels. It's likely that this will be one of the last limited edition GTRs, with the platform now getting on a bit, having been introduced way back in 2007.
Since it was first shown to the world in the mid-2000s, Hyundai's Tucson has always been an affordable but forgettable SUV for family buyers looking for substance over style. Now though, Hyundai is taking its mid-size SUV upmarket with this, the new 4th generation 2022 model. And straight away, the new car's styling is a world away from its forebears. It gets a bold new grille, lots of sharp angles, and a rear end that looks like a robot's face. And it's this sort of design that will help the Tucson stand out in an incredibly competitive sector of the market, with rivals from just about every mainstream manufacturer. So, will this bold new Tucson bridge the gap between affordability and the more luxurious options out there? Well, it isn't just the exterior that's been transformed. It's a similar story inside, where you're greeted by a smart contemporary dash with stylish vents and a quirky steering wheel. All models come as standard with a smart 10.25-inch infotainment screen with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. It's got built-in sat-nav too, and the graphics are clear and sharp. There's a digital driver's display too, and lots more nice tech, with even entry-level SE Connect cars getting a reversing camera, dual-zone climate control and cruise control. Step up to the mid-range premium trim level and you get keyless entry, adaptive cruise control, upgraded audio and a wireless phone charger. It gets a blind spot monitoring system too for a little extra safety. There is also an Ultimate model, which adds a panoramic roof and electric tailgate, and the sporty N-Line model with some extra road presence. There's a range of petrol and hybrid powertrains to choose from, with a 261 brake horsepower plug-in hybrid model sitting at the top of the range.
As we said though, this is an ultra-competitive class, and if the Tucson wants to stand out, it will need to beat some stiff competition. First up, the Toyota RAV4. Now in its 5th generation, the latest RAV4 is available with hybrid power only, and while it may have grown in size from the 90s original, it does at least still catch the eye with a striking new design. The interior isn't quite so bold, but it does exude Toyota's built-to-last quality. However, not everything is quite so impressive. The infotainment display, for instance, is horribly old-fashioned and clunky to use, as well as lacking support of Apple or Android systems. There is some good safety stuff like lane assist and cruise control, and even the base model is packed with features. It's also good value with entry-level two-wheel drive cars coming in at well under £30,000. On the road is where the Toyota differs from its Japanese compatriots. You might think that it would be a Prius in a RAV4 skin, but with a 215 brake horsepower 2.5 litre petrol engine, it's a lot punchier. The ride is smooth and the switch between petrol and electric power is almost seamless, producing a refined ride. And then there's this, the popular Skoda Karoq. Unlike Hyundai or indeed the Toyota, its styling is rather conservative. The exterior is restrained and classy, but the cabin takes the attitude a bit too far, with lots of drab grey plastic and little in the way of flamboyance. But to most family buyers, the main draws will be the Karoq's versatility. If you go for the VarioFlex rear seat option, you can alter the amount of passenger space and boot capacity you have, making this one of the most practical cars in this class. There's a broad selection of petrol and diesel engines too, although there aren't as many hybrid options compared with the Tucson.
It seems then that Hyundai could be onto a winner, and the Tucson could finally be a desirable choice in this crowded class.
With electric cars becoming more and more popular and premium brands leading the charge, it can sometimes be easy to forget that not all EVs are expensive cars from the likes of Jaguar, Porsche and Audi. There are plenty of affordable options out there, and they're not all crossover SUVs and family hatchbacks. There's a new array of electric city cars to choose from, with cars to suit all tastes and budgets. One of our favourites is this, the brand new Fiat 500 electric. Incredibly, it's been 13 years since we were first introduced to the 21st century's Cinquecento, and since then it's only ever received minor updates. This electric version then represents the 500's first big shake-up since its launch in 2007. In fact, the changes are so substantial, Fiat is calling this new version the third generation, following on from its predecessor and the original model of the 1950s. It has a new platform, resulting in slight increases in width and length, as well as an extra 20mm in the wheelbase. That said, this is still a proper city car, measuring comfortably under 4 meters in overall length. Thankfully, with the 500 now possessing a real cult following, Fiat hasn't mucked about too much with the styling. In fact, on first sight, you might not realise you're looking at a new car at all. It's as cute and retro as ever, but under the skin it gets a 117 brake horsepower electric motor that silently thrusts the little Fiat from 0 to 62 in 9 seconds, topping out at 93 miles per hour. More impressive though is its 199-mile range, more than enough for a city runabout. There are 3 driving modes to choose from. Normal mode is designed to replicate driving an internal combustion car. Range mode increases the regenerative braking, and Sherpa saves as much energy as possible by limiting top speed to 50, softening the throttle response and disabling the heated seats and climate control.
And then there is this, one of the most striking EVs of any sort, the oh-so-chic Honda E. Honda claims it isn't a retro design, but it's impossible not to be reminded of an original Mark I Civic or old Honda City. It is adorable with its circular headlights and friendly face, and inside it's just as stylish, with an array of vast screens covering the full width of the cabin. The 2 at the ends are screens for the door cameras in place of traditional mirrors. The other screens do all the usual infotainment things, but they can also be used for fun. Games consoles can be plugged in to play in traffic jams or on your lunch break, while there's even a relaxing digital aquarium to help you de-stress. Elsewhere in the cabin, there is some wonderful eco-friendly upholstery and some very convincing fake wood. Sadly, the premium styling is paired with a disappointing range. At just 137 miles, it can't compete with the Fiat for everyday usability. So, how about the electric city car stalwart, the Renault Zoe? Recently facelifted, the Zoe continues to set the standard for affordable electric motoring, with a range of up to 319 miles if you splash out for the top spec model. There are two powertrain options, the R110 with 106 brake horsepower or 132 bhp in the two higher trim levels. The latter can get the little Zoe from 0 to 62 miles per hour in 9.5 seconds and onto a top speed of 87. Now, obviously, that isn't very quick, but it's more than acceptable for a little electric city car.
Each of these cars has its merits, and there are various other cars to choose from. The new Peugeot E208 is fantastic, as is its sister car from Vauxhall. Then there's the E-Up from Volkswagen. The design may be a little dated, but it offers VW build quality and a bargain starting price. But it's the Fiat that gets our vote. It captures the style and desirability of the old 500, but brings it firmly into the new age of electric motoring incredibly convincingly.
After the break, a trio of German SUV coupes and the new Polestar 2.
Coming up, a new EV saloon car from Sweden. But first,
in the wonderful, sometimes confusing world of SUVs, there are models to fit all situations. There's everything from compact Suzuki 4x4s to weirdly supercharged V8 Jaguars. For style-conscious buyers, though, coupe SUVs are all the rage. And this is Mercedes' latest offering, GLE Coupe. Designed to take on the likes of the BMW X6 and Audi Q8, the GLE takes all of the usual Merc quality and packs it into a rakish new body. The latest model is even curvier than the old car, with a lower roofline and even less practicality. It is bigger though, both longer and wider, and gets a greater wheelbase for a bit of extra legroom. It is, however, shorter than a regular GLE. Mercedes claims that this is a styling decision to help make the coupe look sportier than its more sensible sibling. But while this car may be far less practical than the more conventional standard car, it still gets a decent boot. Tall objects, however, will have to go on the back seats, but cars like this aren't really chosen for their load-lugging abilities. Inside, you get the same dashboard as the regular car. It's beautifully sculpted with all of the current Mercedes luxuries. There are two diesel options, one of which is a hybrid, and the 6-cylinder AMG GLE 53, which gets mild hybrid tech and 429 brake horsepower. Power is sent through an all-wheel drive system via the 9-speed Autobox. 0 to 62 is dealt with in 5.3 seconds, while the top speed has been limited to 155 miles per hour. There's also a new flagship AMG 63S model with 635 horsepower that can hit 62 from rest in just 3.8 seconds.
But the GLE is far from the only coupe SUV on the market right now. This is the new BMW X6. Like the Mercedes, it's longer and wider than the model it replaces and gets a range of petrol and diesel engines, topping out with the monstrous X6M. versions come as standard with 4-wheel drive and an 8-speed automatic gearbox and a load of fancy kit, including adaptive air suspension, a built-in Wi-Fi hotspot, and BMW's new gesture control system, which allows you to control the infotainment system by moving your hands around. And then there is the in-your-face Audi Q8, a monster of a car guaranteed to turn heads wherever it goes. On the outside, this is not simply a Q7 with an altered roofline. The whole front end has been changed to look more aggressive and reminiscent of the R8 supercar. There are some wonderful details too, like the frameless doors, unique in this class, and the eye-catching LED headlights. Audi has gone to some real effort to distinguish the Q8 from the rest of its broad SUV lineup. Like the others, the Q8 is available with a range of petrol and diesel mild hybrid options, with the range topping out with the really rather silly 600 horsepower RS Q8 that gets from 0 to 62 in just 3.8 seconds.
Generally speaking, all of these cars are brought because of the way they look. The regular GLE, X5 and Q7 are all cheaper and more practical than their respective coupe equivalents, so it's hard to really recommend any of them. But if you simply must have a luxury SUV with a sloping roof, it's the Audi that gets our vote for the imposing styling alone.
While Volvo is working towards electrifying its entire lineup by 2030, its offshoot brand Polestar is almost there already with this, the all-electric Polestar 2. A very different car from the rare 600 horsepower hybrid Polestar 1, the 2 is very much aimed at stealing buyers away from not only Tesla, but traditional petrol and diesel saloon drivers too. First glance, the Volvo DNA is clear. The design language is similar, but just about different enough to mark the Polestar out as something a bit less conventional. About the size of a Tesla Model 3 or BMW 3 Series, its fastback styling and chunky proportions make it a pleasingly unique option, but style alone won't win buyers in this corner of the market. Entry-level cars start at under £40,000, and for that you get a single electric motor powering the front wheels, producing 221 brake horsepower, and good for an average of up to 274 miles. Not bad at all. The next of the three powertrains uses the same setup, albeit with a few extra horsepower, but range is boosted to 335 miles thanks to a larger 78 kilowatt-hour battery pack. Both of these front-wheel drive models will hit 62 miles per hour from a standstill in just over 7 seconds. If you want some real EV performance though, the top-of-the-range dual-motor version sends 402 brake horsepower to the road via all 4 wheels. With electric motors at each axle, it'll hit 62 in 4.7 seconds, while the official WLTP range will take you roughly 300 miles. Climb inside and the cabin will feel immediately familiar to any modern Volvo owners. With a similar steering wheel and a portrait infotainment screen, it looks fantastic and is minimalist without going to extremes like the Model 3. All the materials used are vegan, apart from the pricey optional leather upholstery. The Polestar 2 then seems like a worthy rival to the popular Model 3, but the Tesla isn't the only small electric saloon car out there anymore.
This is the BMW i4, the latest electric four-door due to go on sale later this year. Joining BMW's other new EVs, the iX and iX3, the i4 is to all intents and purposes an electric 3 Series. But look a bit closer and you'll notice it's a bit bigger, giving us a hint towards what the upcoming 4 Series Grand Coupe will probably look like, big grille and all. It's borrowed some styling cues from the concept i4 that we saw last year and has plenty of aerodynamic bits and pieces to maximise potential range. Top spec M performance versions will get 523 brake horsepower and a 0 to 62 time of about 4 seconds according to BMW, while the WLTP range is said to be about 360 miles. Best of all, it will be rear-wheel drive, meaning it should be fun to drive while still holding on to some of that BMW DNA.
For now though, the Polestar 2 seems like a decent alternative to a Tesla. It's good looking, well made and good value. It lacks access to Tesla's superb supercharger network, but we suspect its contemporary styling, classy image and its range of powertrain options will make a Polestar a household name in no time.
Join us again next week on Auto Mundial as we check out the incredible Porsche 911 GT3.